Peace, everyone. Welcome to the Evolving Wings podcast, where we center spiritual growth, healing, and life lessons towards your inner peace. I'm your host, Ismael Lara, also known as Evolving Wings. In this first episode, I'd like to center never giving up on your dreams, but first, introduce myself, my brand, and the why behind my podcast. I am 40 years young. I identify as Indigenous, Mexicano, Chicano. I am a professor here in the Bay Area in California. I've been teaching for approximately 7 years, ethnic studies, and my focal point and emphasis, Chicana and Chicano studies, mostly community colleges and one state university here in the Bay Area. Also, I am a rising hip-hop artist. My stage name is Evolving Wings, and my first EP dropped in 2021, Walking Stars. I am also a husband, been married for 9 years, gonna hit a dime this summer. We have 3 beautiful boys, and as a father, I've had to grow a lot into the role and the mentor and the guide and the positive role model that I want to be for my children. Drawing from all these perspectives, I've attained many lessons and powerful forms of insight in all these hats that I've had to wear over the last couple of years. And from there, I feel that I have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to give back to my community, especially for all the people that always ask me and want to talk to me about more advice and more mentorship. I just think this is a more feasible way to provide that information to make it accessible to people in my community. With this first episode, I want to center never giving up on your dreams, because I feel that I always hear, well, you're too old to do something, whether that's you're too old to still be in community college. You're never going to go anywhere. You're too old to be a professor. You're too old to be an artist. And I feel that sometimes the societal pressures to make us fit into a category and a box and a label that doesn't necessarily pertain to us is very powerful. And oftentimes we conform. And I feel that there's no need to conform when you're just true to your heart and your passion. I had to find out the very, very hard way about this. I've gone through my own mental health issues as recently as 1 year ago. And for me, it was reading The Alchemist that I realized what's my life purpose, right? And essentially is that your life purpose is whatever you want it to be. Bottom line. And so once I got over the voices and the imagined and real impacts of pressures that I felt good about who I am and what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter how long it's going to take me to get to my goal and or goals. And so for me, that aha moment, that this is what I want to do the rest of my life, my dream moment, has not been one moment. In reality, for me, it's been multiple moments. Ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to help people. I've always known I've had a big heart. Compassion is my greatest attribute, along with I just don't give up. It may take me forever to accomplish a task, a goal, or whatever it may be, but I know I'm going to get it done. And I think that once I realized that everything I need is already inside of me. And once I realized that when I work with whatever I have in reach, I can make these dreams come true. And for me, the dream is to be an artist, and not just in music, but to be an artist in film as well, in acting as well. I feel that I could do all that. What's your dream? What's your aha moment? For me, I've always known that I just want to help people. That's always been my main thing. As a kid, I would always tell my mom, like, hey, I'm going to be a leader one day. And she was like, they can, or they can. And I was like, I don't know, you know? And so, but I've always known in my heart, I want to help people. And I've always known that I've been a poet, that I have my own rhythm, and that my instrument is my voice. Now, flashing forward, being a rapper requires more than that. It requires staying on beat. And for me, I can't count bars. And so musically, I don't have that knowledge. And so I've had to work really, really hard to be where I am today. If you've listened to my first EP, Walking Stars, it sounds a little rough, right? I missed the pocket here and there. On the new project we got going right now, Soul Purpose, it's going to be a great improvement. But my point is that I knew that I wanted to take this leap and bet on myself. And it's not just the journey that I'm on right now, but it's also what's the journey to set up the journey. And for me, it's been never giving up on myself, number one. When people told me that I was too old to still be in community college, I saw it through. I kept trying to figure out who could help me on this journey. And that's the same format that I've been applying as an artist, is who could help me on this music journey. And being around good people is everything. Being around people that are going to support your dreams and not crush your dreams, that's key as well. There have been multiple moments that I wanted to give up. Multiple moments. Whether as a high school student, someone who didn't graduate high school, someone that got their high school equivalency from adult school, someone who went to the community college for 7 years, went to the university for another 3 years, to get a BA, and then to earn an MA another 3 years. We're talking about, approximately like 13 consecutive years. And I was 33 when I earned my master's degree. And so that conceptualizes the perseverance and resiliency. And what helped me is visualizing. It's a mindset to be able to visualize that, well, one day I didn't graduate high school. I don't have a high school physical diploma. But one day I'm going to earn a BA diploma and I'm going to walk stage. And one day I'm going to have my MA and I'm going to earn that degree. And it's going to be real. And it's going to be everything I ever wanted. And so for me, I've had to figure out what are those moments to build to that. And it's studying. It's actually saying I need help. I need to be tutored in whatever aspect. Like I failed stats twice. I almost failed geography if it wasn't for a tutor. And so utilizing those examples in my academic background is the same format that I'm applying as an artist today. Oftentimes we get told that if you can't do something or accomplish something straight at the gate, then you should just give up. And I don't believe that. I think that we all have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and whether we're going into a classroom or the workforce or whatever the case may be, we all bring a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And so my music, this podcast, this idea is to give back to my community because I feel it's my responsibility and my duty to my ancestors to help other people grow. And that's what Evolving Wings means. Is that despite all the mistakes you've made, is that es puro pa adelante. We pick ourselves up in the strength of our ancestors. And for me, it's been the strength of my indigeneity, of my Mexican culture, of my Chicano identity. All those forms of resiliency and beautiful brilliance is what propels me to go forward. And that's the reason why I'm creating this podcast, is to share my story and eventually to invite other people to share their stories, their origins of what was the process for them to, so to speak, spread their wings, whether that's becoming a shoemaker, one of the best barbers in town, and an artist in any type of format. It's what was their journey. And those are the kind of stories I want to highlight, is that there's a lot of important people in our communities, from street vendors to janitors. And so I want to highlight the stories that sometimes don't seem as success stories. And I'm blessed. I am extremely grateful to have so much love, to have so much support. And it begins at home. If it wasn't for the support of my wife, Jackie, and my kids and my immediate family, then none of this would be possible. If it wasn't for the support, I always feel like I have to have a coach, whatever the case may be. And I don't let my ego get in the way of it anymore. I was like, hey, if I need a coach on how to become a better actor, I'm going to do that. If I need a coach to become a better rapper, then I'm going to do that. And this podcast also would not be possible without that type of support and knowledge and wisdom. Once again, there's been multiple moments where I wanted to give up. And if I could give you one concrete example, is that for me, I didn't have a lot of money to spend in the studio. So I had to write my songs and my lyrics and do the best that I could to memorize them. So when I got to the studio, we're just recording. That's all we're working on and possibly mixing. My first EP, half of it, I recorded it in my bedroom and it didn't sound the greatest. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I needed a recording engineer, a mixing engineer, someone to master the song. I had no idea how to do any of that. So the equipment I did have was useful. I just didn't have the knowledge to use it to the best, to maximize what we needed to get out of the song. And so being in the studio is a concrete example of, okay, this is real. I don't have a song yet, but I am here. And for me, I chose to go to High Street Studios in San Francisco, a legendary studio where Tupac had recorded before. And for me to see Tupacalypse, the gold plaque in the hallway, that was an immense amount of inspiration for me. It's just, this journey is also about feeling good. You have to feel good, right? Oftentimes we hear a word that may seem like very trendy, like manifestation. And it's not that it's trendy. What I'm trying to say, though, is that it's about feeling good in whatever you do. And that feeling good all throughout your body and your soul and your spirit is what alleviates the pressure of society, your job, and or income. Because income is a big attribute that can constrain us from growth if we're constantly thinking about, damn, I'm so in debt. Why spend $30,000 total for equipment, recording time, studio time, all the engineers, and producing the physical copies? Why do all that? And why do all that, especially in the pandemic, when most people were clinging to their savings and stacking to their savings? I had an epiphany. And that epiphany was forced by the universe on me, because my doctor called me and was like, hey, we think we found something that may be cancerous in your body. And my heart dropped. I was like, not only is this horrible news, but my pops actually passed away from terminal prostate cancer. And so I was in a whirlwind spiraling down. And so I go in, I get examined, and they're like, yes, we found some blood in your urine, but guess what? 2 weeks later, I get a phone call and it's not as dramatic. And they're like, hey, so you're good. You're fine. No cancer. Any questions? And I'm like, whoa, you just scared the bejesus out of me 2 weeks ago in this very dramatic, long conversation. And now it's like, you're good. And so after that moment, I was like, you know what? These dreams ain't going to be dreams no more. Let's put an action plan together. Let's change our mindset. And as a working professional, I'm an adjunct professor, but I work what I would consider a full-time load. 3 classes here, 2 classes there, another class here. And it's a lot of pressure to be responsible to all these different institutions and what's required of me and for the students, which I always give my whole heart. Nevertheless, to travel around, for your mind to be everywhere, it's a lot. And so with that cancer scare, I was like, why am I playing my life so small? Why am I letting fear consume me so much? And my 2 older sons were very young. My first son is Ismael, the 4th. His middle name is Sweet Celine. My second boy is Emiliano. His Nahuatl name is Cuauhtemoc. My 3rd son, that was born in 2020, his first name is Santiago, and his Nahuatl middle name is Tonali. And so I remember holding all my sons at one form or another and producing art. Especially with my son Santiago, I was literally holding him, putting him to sleep. When he would cry all wild and just like I was like stressed out, I figured out that he liked a specific song. And one day he was crying. I was listening to the Jacka, and See It Through came on, one of those songs, and he just calmed down. So I raised the volume up just a little bit, and that yelling, that profound wailing just stopped, and it calmed him down for whatever reason. And so I was like, okay, cool, I could do this. Now, on top of teaching, being a husband, and being a father, I could do this. So I wrote most of my first EP very early in the morning or very late at night, rocking my sons to sleep. Once everybody was really asleep, I'd get on my desktop and like, okay, let's create an outline. I'm going to have whatever it is, 5 songs, 7 songs. Let's get the ideas and the concepts. And if you listen to that EP, it's about who I am, what I've struggled through, how I've overcame certain challenges, what has led to my mental health, what traumas I have as well, how to grow as a man, as a being, to become a better person. And so for me, I just knew, you know what, I'm not a quitter, and I'm not going to give up on my dreams. And I had to have a serious conversation with myself. Is that am I going to be really okay giving up on my dreams 40 years from now? Am I going to be okay with that? Looking back and saying, what if? What if I just let go of my fear and bet on myself when I'm not supposed to in this pandemic? What if I did it? And from that moment on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in me. Every dime I get is going to go into this dream. And so from the studio, getting the songs mixed and engineered by the great Eddie Sancho, shout out to you. I remember the first night I got one of my songs back from Eddie Sancho. I believe it was like Spiritual Contract. But I remember we were in our bedroom in our old apartment, and we pressed play, and it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that's me. That's really me. With all its imperfections and not hitting the pocket every time, we were just so ecstatic because now it's surreal. Another concrete example that I could give and share is that when I saved more money and I ordered 50 physical CDs and they finally got here, I remember I opened it up in this room and I had a CD in front of me and I was like, it's real. And I had one of the most biggest smiles I've ever had in my whole life. And I just felt like I did it. Obviously, I haven't made it, right? That's not the point. At that moment, I was like, in my heart, I made it for me. I made it for myself. And those have been the moments that have given me the power and the energy and the influence and the motivation to be disciplined, to keep writing every day, to keep working on my craft, to keep rehearsing. And there was no greater feeling than that moment for me and my career. And looking back, that's still one of my highlights. Another highlight would be being invited to be a guest speaker, but also being invited to say poems. And all those moments of building up my craft have been very influential for me and my motivation and my mental health. For me, music is therapy. I think that ever since I've gone through my own mental crisis, breakdown, and had to rebuild myself back up to get my mindset to where it has to be, I came up with this term, the warrior in you, that became a song. And the warrior in you, I get to in another episode, but I just want to share with y'all real quick, is that don't get it twisted. It takes a lot of courage and a real warrior to say, I'm wounded. I need help. And a lot of what I've gone through, the pains of my mental health, the trauma that I've gone through in my life as a child, the transition of my father into an ancestor, the pressures of society, I think that it only made me stronger. And I think that if I could help other people not go through the same mistakes that I've made, to me, that's a blessing. And to me, that'd be giving back to my ancestors and making them proud and happy. For me, the way I live life now is that with every new sunrise, I let go of what happened the day before. I just let it go. Every new sunrise is a new opportunity, and I always give thanks. And one recommendation that I have for y'all that has worked for me is just being grateful. I know that may sound too simple, but if you give it a very intense feeling, like when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I put my left foot down, I say I am, put my right foot down, grateful. And I breathe it out. I just breathe. I just take a deep breath, exhale. I am grateful. Another tip that I have for y'all is that this is all ancestral knowledge. I'm not saying I created it. All I'm saying is that it's useful for me, especially for folks that may have anxiety and or depression and have battled through that or are going through that, like I have. Just even taking a deep breath, holding it for a 4 count, and in your mind just saying, I am not the body. As you exhale, for a 4 count, a long exhale, you want to say, I am not even the mind. And you repeat that for a minute or two. That has been tremendous for me. That has been very tremendous for me, because I was at a point where I love riding my bicycle and being out in the community, and it was a form of therapy. But sometimes, I was like 15 miles away from home, and I'm like, hey, I'm 15 miles away from home. And next thing you know, the world just crashes down on me. And then my body has a physical reaction. My stomach hurts, my body gets tightened up, and I'm about to lose it all. And so these breathing techniques, being grateful, embedded in gratitude, have been a great shield for me towards my own fear, my own anxiety, and my own depression. And so never giving up on your dreams is not easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm not even saying there's like a 5-step plan to it. All I'm saying is that I'm just so grateful. Whether I make it as an artist or not is the least of my worries now. My only worry is if I'm being true to myself. And one thing that has helped me, and I ask myself before I go to sleep every night, is, did I make my ancestors proud today? Because if the answer is yes, then I could sleep in tranquility, peace, and harmony. But if the answer is no, that's what keeps me up at night, knowing that people have sacrificed everything for me to be here. And once I'm grateful and embedded in that gratitude of just even being alive, just breathing, no matter what my situation is, because sometimes the odds are stacked against you. And I know it may not seem like it. We don't really see the blessings we have until they're taken from us. And so when my health wasn't 100%, I was like, hold up. I need to reorganize my priorities and my mindset, because guess what? I had to tell myself and look at myself in the mirror, look, homie, I love you and you could do it. And this is what we need to do. We need to step up to the plate and know that as long as I have breath and health, then I can make anything happen for myself, for my family, and for my community, and for my ancestors. And that's what I'm just grateful for now, is to wake up and to breathe. All the amounts of worry, anxiety, duties, responsibilities, financial challenges, and debts, I really feel that as long as I'm true to myself, they're going to work out in the end. And I'm being grateful in the moment, for the present moment. And that's what has helped me move forward. And so in this first episode, all I wanted to do was introduce myself, my brand, and the why behind the podcast. And so Evolving Wings means never giving up on you. Evolving Wings means growth in spite of the mistakes, and to understand that no matter the ugliness of our past, we all have the capability to bloom beauty and brilliance going forward. And the why for the podcast is because I feel that it's my duty to share this knowledge that I've attained in my 40 years on this earth. And as someone who believes in spirituality, and someone who had to learn the hard way that spirituality just means gentleness and kindness for others. And guess what, homie? For yourself as well. And I think that that's important, is to say that I love myself. And I love myself so much that I'm going to see this through. No matter what mountain I got to climb, I'm going to see it through, because I believe in myself. And because I understand that my ancestors gave so much for me to be here. And that's what I want to do. When I'm no longer on this earth and I become an ancestor and I transition up to the skies, I believe it's my duty to look down and shine upon my light on my people so they can understand that they're not alone. You're never alone. And I think that growing up, I always felt alone. And I didn't realize all the love that I was surrounded by because I thought I needed to have the best XYZ. And I think those material things for me don't even matter no more. And what I care about most now is my obsession to my craft, my obsession to write new songs, my obsession to finish my new album, Soul Purpose, my obsession to work on this new journey, this new adventure, and my podcast, my obsession with building with like-minded people, my obsession with building with people that are compassionate, that understand that they have a gift and or a skill that they've had to work really, really hard at to become the people that they are today. And you have to put those 10,000 hours to master your craft. And at that, people that want to contribute and give back to the community by saying, hey, this is how I did it. This is the manual. That's what I want to do with these podcasts, is provide a manual. Que tú también lo puedes hacer. Y puro pa' adelante. There's no giving up. So once again, my name is Ismael Lara, also known as Evolving Wings. Many blessings. Thank you for tuning in. Please be on the lookout for the next episode, dropping next week. Peace.
This society try to crush my spirit, but my chicano soul don't fall. I'm 100 with it. Mi gente dice al 100, puro pa' adelante, pa' atrás a más que eso.